views and opinions expressed do not necessarily reflect those of Access Fort Wayne, the Allen County Public Library, or any other supporting groups. If you'd like to produce a show, call us at 260-421-1250.
Let me be your lighthouse so I can show you the way. Let me be your shining light, keep you from drifting away. I'm the one that makes you try.
Wow.
Godspeed.
Hello, this is Patty Hunter, and that bell was made by Steve Shelby. Hello, good morning, sir.
Good morning.
And
Glad to be here.
Thank you. It's great you're here. This is John Dickmeyer, my co-host.
Good morning, Patty.
And there you go. We got them both here. This is going to be a very good show. One of my favorites. I do like art. And Steve Shelby is a sculptor of several things. We'll go into that in about a sec. So, Steve, are you from Fort Wayne?
I grew up in Fort Wayne from about age 4 on till I graduated from high school.
Oh, you're originally not from, you weren't born here then?
No, Indianapolis, but I was so young I don't really remember much about that.
So, how old were you when you became interested in art?
Well, I was interested in making art. I guess as soon as I could hold a pencil.
Oh.
So.
Do you remember your first thing you created? Very much.
No. No, I probably was about a year old or less. So.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. You could ask my mom.
Okay. Mom? So does she do any sculpting or artwork herself, or?
No. She, actually her family was all musicians. But somehow the genes got mixed up or something, and I didn't get the musical talent. I got the visual art talent.
Well, creativity doesn't, you can go either music or being an artist. You still have the same genes as your family.
Mm-hmm.
Different outlet.
Yeah.
I think the interesting thing is that in all artistic endeavors, there's an attention to detail and an attention to form and substance, and however you reproduce that, that's what you have. And as I look at what you've assembled for us, it's the form sings to me.
It's smooth, really.
So
I don't say.
I think music and art and all of the expressive, emotional endeavors have a common. They appeal to the spirit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would agree with that.
So what type of style of art have you created here? What style?
What style? That's a good question.
Like this one right here is a very interesting one.
That's a teapot, actually.
That's a teapot?
Yeah.
Oh,
this part comes off.
Oh, yeah?
And I don't know. I've had people ask me that before, and style kind of indicates that you're following along with,
Other people.
with what other people are doing, and I'm really not trying to do that. I'm just doing my own thing. So
Being yourself.
I guess it's my style.
So where'd you learn about making metal work?
I majored in art at Ball State, and I didn't get into the metal till I was at least halfway through, or about 2/3 of the way through, and I actually wasn't very inspired with art. I mean, I was majoring in it, but it was in the middle of the Vietnam War, and there was a draft, and college was a safe place to be. But when I took a jewelry class, and I loved it.
What kind of jewelry? Metal?
Metal. Yeah, I learned how to form metal and how to, saw it with a jeweler's saw and file it, and silver solder, which is very important. And
Do you work with platinum?
no,
That's too soft?
too expensive.
Oh,
Way too expensive.
I
my
was a
goodness.
college student.
so you work basically with brass or gold or
Silver,
Silver.
sterling silver.
sterling? silver?
Silver was fairly cheap back then. This was in the early 70s, when the country was still had fixed prices on gold and silver,
Yeah.
and even at its students' income, which was basically zero, I could afford to buy silver. And because it was part of the curriculum, you could buy little sheets of silver in the bookstore,
Oh, I didn't know you could do that.
and that's how I got it. And
Yeah.
it was very affordable. It was soon after, just a year or two after I graduated, that they took our currency off of the based on precious metals, and the price just went
Shot
through
right
the
up,
roof.
yeah. So, who influenced you the most to create such wonderful artwork? Do you have a mentor or? No, this is all your own doing.
I would like to think I could say I was influenced to get into metal, into working with metal by I had an uncle and a cousin who worked with metal, not artistically, but they could do welding and work on a metal lathe and all that sort of thing. And they lived in Utah, so I only saw them once every couple of years. And I just thought that was so cool. And my dad did woodworking, but he never did anything with metal. So woodworking was okay, but the metal was
More challenging.
really, really something.
Yeah.
So I wanted, I had it in my mind that I'd really like to do that someday.
So when you work with metal, do you have to wear gloves or something like that, or just use your hands?
Sometimes.
It depends on.
Usually I don't like wearing gloves because it inhibits my sense of touch, which is kind of important. And getting a good grip on things is better without gloves. But like for some times when I'm hammering and I'm holding something and it's a lot of force and the metal wants to cut into my hand, I'll wear gloves for that. The glove on the hand that's holding the piece.
So your metal of choice is brass or bronze?
Yeah, brass. I think brass I like the most to work with, because everything I do is hammered. It starts out as a flat sheet, and and gets hammered into shape. And
you
brass
see
is
the-
just the most accommodating for that.
It is
Copper is good. Copper is easy to form, but it doesn't stretch quite as well as brass. And silver is nice if you can afford it.
Does copper turn green after a certain length of time?
Usually it has to be outside if it's going
Yeah.
to turn green,
Yeah.
but it will.
Yeah.
I also work with bronze some. The bell over there is bronze.
We have, what's her name? Isabel?
Isabel, yeah. Isabel.
Isabel is, hey, I like that. We
Excellent, yes.
Yeah, we have a little clip here about making Isabel, so we can talk about that while it's being shown. So if you could. Okay, what's this?
Okay, starting with flat sheet, and then first stage of hammering, and there's a second stage of hammering. And in between these stages that it shows here, there's third and fourth, or maybe
Wow.
that's the fourth stage. In between, it gets heated up red hot, so that it changes the crystal structure of the metal so that it's easy to form again. It gets hardened after you hammer it so much,
So you
and
have
then
to-
you can't hammer it anymore, so it has to be softened in between.
Oh, so
Yeah.
And you soften it with what kind of heat?
With a torch, really fancy places would have an oven to put it in that would heat
Like
it
a
up
kiln?
to the right temperature.
Kellen?
But
Yeah.
normally just heat it red hot with the torch, and then quench it and pickle it. Pickling it is cleaning it in sort of an acid solution.
So
And,
you're making a face. That's the finished product?
Well,
No,
not
it's
yet, not
not
quite.
yet? Oh wow, what are you doing now? The bell?
That's still the head.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Well, let's see, right there I'm putting the hair texture in. That took 10 hours to put the hair texture in
Oh
with
wow.
a hammer, just hitting it over and over and over again. Now this says I'm working on the base, the part that it hangs on that goes against the wall. And
Wow.
those are the pieces that get silver soldered on the seams so that they're like a tube. And
Oh,
there it
that's
is, mocked up. And then that's
How long did it take you to get that done? A day or two, or?
That I have about 125 hours in the whole project.
Okay. Wow, that's beautiful. Now what are you doing?
I had to make all the mechanism all from scratch, even the springs like it shows there. And took a long time to figure it out, how to make it work. There's a picture of all the pieces. There was over, I think, around 100 pieces that went into it. And now I'm making the little pendant thing that on the chain. It's a little devil, and
Oh my goodness.
and I just thought she's got a pained look on her face, and what would be a good thing to put on the end of that chain? A little devil.
Oh my goodness.
And so when you're pulling on the chain, you're kind of doing the devil's work.
Very good.
So when you did the chain itself, was that already?
There's the devil
Oh, yeah.
finished there, more or less.
But the chain you didn't do yourself; it was already done ahead of time. The chain.
The chain itself is store-bought.
Okay. That's the back of it.
Yeah,
Oh
that's
wow!
on
Isn't
the
that
underside.
beautiful?
There's the finished piece.
Oh my stars! Look at it. Well done, my friend. We're proud of you. Oh look! Isn't that lovely? Oh wow!
Now, was she an original idea from you, or did you get the idea for Isabel from another source?
Actually, it was an idea that evolved, and I can tell you how it went. it's been at least a couple of years ago, I thought a bell would be fun to make.
Mm.
Because when I'm working on pieces and forming them into like a bowl shape, and sometimes they have a really nice ring to them. And I thought, I ought to make a bell. And my first idea was to, well, you know how they have bells at desks sometimes, and they're usually a little thing like, you know, a little silvery looking thing, and you punch a button on it and it rings a bell.
Yeah.
And I thought of something like that, only bigger, and maybe having like a mushroom shaped piece and hit it. And the idea just gradually evolved. And when it came around to the show at my solo exhibition at ArtLink, everything had to hang on the wall. So I was working on ideas for that, and so everything I started new was going to be something that hung on the wall. And so I went back to my bell idea and kind of reworked it for hanging on the wall. And so I decided to get into designing it in earnest.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, well, what's just an abstract shape for the bell, or could it be something else? And I thought, well, how about a person's head? And
Did you model that after anyone you know, or
no?
or just what you had in mind?
And so the bell, the hair, and everything, it just worked out perfectly as a bell shape. And then I think I had it, you know, halfway done, or the head halfway done, when I decided it should have she should have a pained look on her face, because she's getting hit on the head. So the whole thing just evolved, and
That's whimsical.
even as I was working on it, the little devil pendant on the chain, I didn't even think of that till it was all done,
Yeah.
except for the I wanted something on the chain.
Well, that's so whimsical. It's that's beautiful, really.
Yeah, it's just a way of thinking about things and analyzing every little thing and coming up with ideas. And I think for me anyway, it works best to take time with things and kind of let the ideas come in.
So
over time.
basically, you love animals, or insects, or what? You're doing insects here, slugs.
Well, slugs.
Not really insects, but
What do you? Well, they are
I
insects.
think the slugs are mollusks.
Oh, mollusks.
They just got short-changed somewhere in the evolutionary chain. They didn't get a
Strange.
shell.
And what about back here, the other two? There's an owl,
That's an owl.
and up there, up top,
It's just kind of a generic bird.
it's a generic bird. Let's talk about that bird. How long
Okay.
did it take you to get that done?
I've done a whole lot of birds.
Yeah.
So that was just one of many that I've done. I even did for a website called Artful Home. I mass-produced little bird ornaments, Christmas ornaments.
Yeah.
I made about at least 200 of them.
Oh, well, we have right now another video clip about making a bird. So we're going to talk about that.
Great. I was hoping you'd show that,
Don't
because
worry.
the bird in that clip is that
Oh,
bird.
is that bird? So let's go to it now. We can talk. Now, wow, what's that?
Now, I started out with a clay bottle because I dipped it in that dip seal, and then the dip seal is peeled off, and the dip seal makes the pattern.
Oh,
See, I
like a mold?
traced it. It makes a pattern, so I know what shape to cut out. And
Royal tiger? What's that?
I use that when annealing. It showed the flame there. I was annealing it, which I was discussing earlier,
Right.
and that just keeps the brass from getting all
Hard?
dark and ugly.
Dark and Oh, it's so lovely. It's nice and golden, isn't it? That's beautiful. How long did it take you to do that, dear? That specific one?
Probably maybe about 10 hours. Something
10
like
hours.
That. For the whole project.
Oh, and you did, and the thing at the back of vine, or you put it on?
Yeah,
To hang
I
up?
think the whole thing with the vines and everything, maybe about 10 hours.
10 hours, wow.
But as you can see, there's a lot of steps along the way. It's
You have to close it.
the
and
metal
seal it.
doesn't really want to do that.
Oh, you have to force
I
it.
have to do a lot of coercion.
It's more than simple coaxing. You have to get each little,
And you're polishing
shall
it
we
now?
say, curve, and anytime there's an indentation, that all has to be worked in, doesn't it?
And there we are,
Yeah.
the finished product.
That's it.
Now
That
that-
actually belongs to my mom. I
Does
gave
it?
it to her for Christmas last year.
She likes it?
She's been the recipient of metalwork gifts from me for about 14 or 15 years.
Do you have your own company?
Well, shelbyvision.com,
Mm.
but I'm retired, so, and I work harder than I did when I was working, but I don't have to do this for a living, so I mostly just do what I like to do. I make things that I like to make. I get orders for things that I have to fill the orders, but
You don't, do you do commission?
while I'm doing that, I'm thinking about something else that I'd rather be making.
Do you do things on commission or contract or?
Yeah,
Yeah,
sometimes I
freelance.
make pet urns, dog and cat sculptures,
Oh,
which are sold through a website that's not mine.
but you get royalties.
It's custompeturns.com, and she sells them, and I make them. So I don't have to do the marketing.
Someone's birthday's coming up in December. I wonder who that could be.
I don't know.
Why? Is it yours?
My birthday?
Yeah, December what?
22nd.
22nd. Oh my stars. Happy birthday.
Isn't it wonderful to have a birthday
Just before
that close
Christmas?
to Christmas?
Oh my goodness! Think about the presents you get in one and
Oh
the other.
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, a lot of people said that must be awful having it
Are you kidding?
next to Christmas, but I liked it because
get more.
everything was all decorated beautifully around my birthday, and
yeah.
it was just, my birthday was just sort of part of a big celebration.
Did you get gifts on your birthday and then Christmas?
Yeah.
Cool, cool. What would you like? What would you like to tell my audience? How you were enthused by something you wanted to do, and no one had to tell you yes or no, you can't do it. To build up their what's the word, John?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, let's talk about inspiration, maybe.
Inspiration.
How are you inspired to do a particular piece? I'll give you an example. I love the slugs. How were you inspired to do the slugs?
Okay, like I was mentioning before, it's something that just I let ideas come to me,
Yeah.
and if I have to think of something that I have to do, it doesn't work very well. But if I just kind of sit back and let ideas come to me, it works quite well. And this was another slow evolution, just like I was talking about with the bell. I use wood for heat, firewood, and a lot of times when I'm splitting wood or loading up the wheelbarrow to haul it into the house, I find interesting pieces of wood, and
They look like
I
driftwood.
set them aside. And this was one. It's a split. It's a split of mulberry wood, and I thought that's really neat. I should save that for something. And I had it sitting around for a couple of years, and
Oh, yeah.
the idea came to me of putting like several different. Well, at first I thought of birds,
Mhm.
and then oh, well, that's really mundane.
Yeah, do something out of the ordinary.
And so I thought I need to do something different from birds. So eventually the idea of slugs just came about, and that's because it's just enough different. I mean, you don't see sculptures of slugs very often.
What would you like to say to my audience to encourage them to follow their own dream?
Well, a big part of it is to not put money first.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to get rich, you don't go into arts. And there are some artists that have gotten rich, but mostly just by pure luck. And also, they've turned into promotionalists. They promote themselves to such a degree, and
They lose touch.
But then that turns into more like a regular business. I think if you've got it in you, if you just relax and let it come to you. At least that's the way it works for me. Everybody's different, so
it's not really work. It's like it's more like a passion, really.
yeah,
Yeah, like therapy in a way.
yeah. I didn't really do any art to speak of for about 30 years.
Wow.
After I got out of college, I had to worry about making a living, and then I got married. We had 4 kids.
Wow.
And had too wrapped up in making a living and supporting a family, and didn't really get back to it
Well,
for a long time.
I'm very proud that you are here in Fort Wayne, Indiana. And I'm very glad too that all your artwork, art pieces, you have your own website. So, what is it again?
ShelbyVision.com.
ShelbyVision.com. This is towards the end of our show. Thank you, John Dickmeyer.
Thank you.
And you, Steve Shelby. Thank you. It was
Thank
a
you.
delight to have you here.
It was great
And-
to be here.
Thank you. We'll see you next week. Have a great week. Thank you.
Godspeed, my love, until we meet again. You're always in my heart and every dream. Don't let this time apart give in to all our fears. God will keep us close from up above. So until we meet again, Godspeed, my love.